you very much. It is very sad what Israel is doing against all the international laws, against all the human rights, and against the United Nations Charter as well. Sadly, the world have failed to stop Netanyahu and Israel for their genocide and for their massacres which they are doing for the last 1 year. I don't say that whatever happened on 7th October was good or anything better. It was very worst act. But we all, as a Muslim, condemn any kind of terrorist activities, whether it's done by Hamas or anyone. But we have to consider that what is the situation in Palestine for the last 60, 70 years, whether it was intifada, whether it was massacre going on by the IDF and Israeli forces for the last 60 years prior to 7th October 2023. It is the very clear that Israel has unlimited power to show their aggression against Palestinians and carried on their atrocities. At the moment, the situation is worse that Israel is attacking on four independent sovereign countries from different fronts. And it has opened challenged war for those four countries. On the other hand, Israel is making fun and mockery of international laws, International Court of Justice, United Nations, Human Rights Organization, and 2.3 million Palestinians are displaced and living without any food, shelter, or health care, education. And on the other hand, we have seen that the war between Iran and Palestine is very close. And if that war starts, it could cause any bigger war. It could turn into Third World War. This is the situation which Western world, NATO, America has to understand. The world is not running with a new world order. Rather, the world is a multipolar world where if America will carry on supporting Israel genocide and atrocities, then this region can turn into a biggest war battlefield for the world and the history of mankind. This is the situation which Israel has to understand, and Americans have to stop Israel immediately. And then there are billions of dollars required for Palestinians to reinstate in their properties, to restore their businesses, and carry on their lives despite of all the losses which they have already suffered, irreparable losses. So whatever Israel have done have never been happened in the recent mankind history.
And about the genocide, and you're saying that the Israel is making a mockery out of the statements that is coming out from all around the world. The UN is saying something, and the other actual worldly corporations are saying another things to Israel. But as long as Israel is saying that it is not a problem, it seems like it is not a problem for them as well. So what would you say about the war crimes allegations that is directed to Netanyahu and the Israelis in general who fight in this war of genocide of theirs?
Yeah, definitely. These are not even allegations. These are the proved crimes which Netanyahu have done by doing all these war crimes, killing innocent child, bombing on the hospitals and education facilities, killing the journalists, bombing on media houses, killing on old age houses and the families, and killing the kids. I mean, these are all clear war crimes which International Court of Justice pointed out, which all the humanitarian organizations and United Nations have pointed out. In response of that, Netanyahu is abusing Secretary General of United Nations. Netanyahu is making fun of French president who has taken first time ever a small stand, not giving the arms to the Israeli forces. Netanyahu is making fun of Americans, of those who are trying to speak against Israeli crimes. So this is what, again, I would say that not possible without unconditional support from Americans and NATO. And this is what world needs to understand, that if they will carry on such support, and if they will close their eyes on such atrocities going on in Gaza, then they will have no right to talk about Ukraine war. To be honest, they have no right to talk about what happened in Kiev, what is going on there, because it clearly exposed their hypocrisy and dual standards. That the Muslims' blood have no value, it means. The Muslims' blood or the skin color have no value, or they are not human beings. While on the other hand, with the white skin and blue eyes of Ukrainian people have much more value in front of the Western world and in front of the Americans. This is the dual standard which is very badly exposed. And I believe that Muslim world should wake up now. Muslim world must be united. I mean, Turkey, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Malaysia, Indonesia, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, all these countries have to come together and make some strategy to fight against Israel. This is the time to retreat. This is the time to give a befitting reply to the Israel rather than just making condemned statements. Now this is the time to take some action in terms of sanctions, in terms of cutting diplomatic ties, in terms of giving a reply, in terms of supplying uninterrupted food and medicines to the Gaza people.
And about the Muslim world, actually, the war is spreading. Let's talk about that as well. What is happening with Lebanon is quite important. And what is happening inside Lebanon today, we are talking about the first year of such attacks that is caused by Israel. But we are also, actually also have to talk about what is going on in Beirut right now. So when we consider all of these, what would you say about the expansionist state of view from the Israel, who just not only wants to expand their territory inside Middle East, but also wants to expand the war itself to other countries as well?
Yeah, definitely. As I said initially, that Israel has opened 3-4 fronts of the war, and the first front is at the moment is in Beirut and Lebanon. I mean, the way brutally they are attacking and the way they killed Hassan Nasrallah, and then they are on the name of fighting with Hezbollah, they are again killing the innocent Lebanese people. They are attacking in the residential areas. They are attacking inside the city. So all this is against the human rights and against the laws. And at the same time, it is very much alarming that the situation is getting worse because they have given the indication to attacking on Iran again. And if they attack on Iran and carried on their bombing on Beirut and carrying on their bombing on Gaza, then Iran will have no choice but to be the part of this war, to practically involve in it. And once Iran is involved and then America gets involved, and then it will get very worse situation. And that is why I have said on another channel that the world is facing the crisis of start of the Third World War. This is the most critical time in the history of mankind at the moment.
And about the Israeli strikes, let's talk about this as well, because they're not striking the regular places. They're striking hospitals, schools, mosques, the places that people are still standing. And it is evident that it is directly to the people, not to the soldiers as well.
Definitely. I mean, that is unprecedented, that any war or any conflict have caused so many civilian damages. And civilian damages on top of it, the way they are attacking on schools, hospitals, educational facilities, media houses, journalists, and volunteer workers, and United Nations aid workers. It has never been happened before, and it is all due to, I will say, that the backing of Americans, the support of Americans, burning their houses, attacking on their homes. It is all, I would say, clearly war crimes, and these war crimes must bring Netanyahu to the justice, and Netanyahu must face the investigations and the proceedings of war crime, which he will deny, but it is absolutely clear and proven. I believe that the way they are attacking in Beirut now, eventually Lebanese forces have to retaliate. They have to reply as well. The war will not remain only between Hezbollah and IDF. It will involve Lebanese army eventually. It will be the Lebanese public will force Lebanese government to involve and retaliate against Israeli aggression.
See, Hamid, we've been talking about a lot about this situation. So I really wonder, what would you say after 1 year that we are finally talking about many things, about the international stance, about United States stance, and about the elections that is coming up with the United States, and how are they going to act when the time comes, when the election is done, and everything else. There are so many factors that is happening at the moment. We are talking about Lebanon and all. So after 1 year, what would you say about the escalation? Is it going to escalate even more? What would you say? Are we going to talk about it 1 year later, and are we going to say, like the Ukraine war, now this is the second year of the situation, or it is hopefully going to de-escalate anytime soon? What would you say?
I am saying something very maybe harsh, but it is a very factual thing, that we won't be saying after 1 year for the same situation. This is very critical time. If this war is not stopped in next 30 days to 40 days or immediately after elections, then I have a very sad projection that this war could expand and escalate into multilateral war. This war cannot remain like this for another year. That is a sad bit. Either they have to cease fire and stop the war. Otherwise, I can see that the other countries will involve and will be dragged into this war due to Israelis' stubbornness, Israeli aggression, Israeli atrocities, and massacre and genocide going on by the Israelis. Because this situation cannot remain same for another year. Palestinians or the rest of the world, or especially the bloc, which is anti-American bloc, will not be able to remain silent for another 40, 50,000 killings of Palestinians. It is not possible. And the way they have destroyed 70, 80% of Gaza, the way they have done everything, and the way they have destroyed Beirut city and now planning to attack on Iran, this war, if it is not ceasefire within next 30 to 40 days, it will definitely expand. We will not be talking about this war after 1 year like a normal carry-on crisis like Ukraine crisis. It will definitely escalate. It cannot stay on this situation for another year.
That is quite the statement that you have shared. Let's hope that escalation comes and we do not have to think about it. But what you said is quite important in my opinion, because it cannot continue like this. Neither Palestinians can stand, nor anyone in the region can stand economically, politically, humanitarian-wise. And we have so much to talk about. And we've seen the 79th of the United Nations Assembly, and it was nothing when it comes to this. And for the 80th one, we may actually stand up and talk about a broader war, but let's hope that is not the case.
I was there in America. I was there in United States UN General Assembly session. I was there at the time of speech from Netanyahu. I was there at the speech of Slovenian president. I was there at many other speeches. I have seen that sadly the United Nations have lost its purpose. United Nations could not do anything practically to stop this war. United Nations have become a forum where people can speak, but potentially and practically there is no tangible action taken by the United Nations organization, and it is a general perception which is proven right that the United Nations have become a tool of United States and NATO to support their ill-motive aims. But when it comes to the human rights and to resolve of the conflicts, United Nations have failed. I was there in United Nations, UNGA. I was there at New York. I have seen everything with my eyes. It is nothing but talk. It is nothing but saying few statements. Unless they will not do practically, the world will lost its faith on the reality and the practicality of United Nations platform and any effectiveness of United Nations.
I think what you said reminded me that something more important, even more important, is coming up, because you said that if after the elections, like 30, 40 days later, the war doesn't stop or a ceasefire doesn't happen, we are going to talk about a broader war in the next 1 year. And we have in 30, 40 days, we have something more important coming up, the G20 summit. And what would we expect from that?
Definitely. I mean, G8, G7, and then G20. All these platforms are more controlled and motivated, and I would say more convinced with the lobbies of Israelis. That is very sad thing. And the only one or two, three Muslim countries, they are not been able to, I would say, represent or present the case of the Gaza people. Now in G20 summit, there is United Arab Emirates, there is Turkey, there is Saudi Arabia. They have to talk about it. This is the time when they have to talk about openly. Otherwise, even G20 will lose its purpose. There will be, it will lose its credibility. And G20 has already been known as a group of powerful countries who are using this group to control the rest of the world rather than to resolve and make the world a peaceful planet. That is the perception